Well, welcome back, DFS community. This is your main man, Cloud, coming to you with the NFL First Look Millionaire Slate, NFL Week 4. Well, as we go down here and we're looking at the quarterbacks for this week, the first take is Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, who's usually been at the top, costing the most. Um, they're in a couple good matchups. KC, Detroit, not the best D. Mahomes has been going off as usual. Jackson's probably going to get back to trying to put up those 30 points for you in the fantasy. You get some running and throwing touchdown. Cleveland D is middle of the road, so it depends on if they show up or not. Watson is always good. He just gets sacked a lot. Their offensive line is trash. You know that you can't throw on Carolina. Russell Wilson went off. And when I say he went off, the man went off. So when I tend to put Russell Wilson now, I'm looking at him. As you can see, he gave you a 41.34 against New Orleans, and he gave you some running action this time. It's finally about time we seen him run again, and he gave you 2 touchdowns with over 400 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. So I will be keeping my eye on this man to see if he's waking up. That defense is trash. So this is what's making him start to get into shootouts. And one thing I know is once you get Russell Wilson's train and engine going, he gets to going. So I will be having my eye on him this week, and he's in the pool of quarterbacks for the GPPs. Then we have your regular guys down here. But what I'm looking at this week is the best performance of last week that I've seen out of a quarterback, and that was Daniel Jones. This is my guy this week for the First Look NFL Week 4 GPP slate. Daniel Jones is my man. I'm coming to him going against Washington, and Washington just played and gave up a lot of yard and passing yards, and they're still coming off a short week, not ready, poor as D, and Daniel Jones is trying to show up at the house. He's trying to show the Giants that he can lead this team. He's the leader. They made the right pick in the draft, and he's going to go ahead and try to make those millions and start winning games. And he's going to lead the Giants into the future. So I'm looking forward to seeing Daniel Jones again put up a great performance. Let's jump on into the running backs. And you can look up top and instantly see Saquon Barkley is hurt. He's out. We have McCaffrey in a great spot. He's been relied on a lot heavy. They're in Houston, and he can give a great performance, but he's costing a lot. Delvin Cook is costing a lot, and he's not in a great matchup, so I'm fading this week. Austin Eckler is always in play against Miami, who's giving up a lot of yards and touchdowns. Anybody against Miami is always in play. And when you're a focal point of an offense, yes, I will take that. Where you're giving rushing yards and passing yards in both categories, and you're going against one of the poorest D's in the NFL, I will lock you on in. Then we have Mark Ingram, who went off last week. When I say off on KC, he took all the touchdowns away from Jackson. As you can see, he put up a 33.5 on KC. This week, it could be chasing. Cleveland hasn't had the best D against running backs, but I'm not too sure that it will fall all the way into his hands and he just falling into touchdowns like he did last week against Kansas City. And Chubb against Baltimore, I am not taking. Marlon Mack and Indy, those guys is a middle road team. And what I'm looking at also down here is a couple mid-tier running backs and dealing with decent matchups. But I'm looking at Chris Carson against Arizona. Now, if Rashad Penny doesn't play, I'm looking to see him focusing on him taking all the snaps and getting catches. So I always look for a running back that get carries and catches in both stat lines to give you the best DFS performance that you can receive. Jumping to wide receivers, I'm pairing Daniel Jones with my main man all the way down here, Sterling Sharp. And as you can see, he came back and he put up a decent performance, 23.6, targeted 9 times. And I'm expecting this to be a nice showing for him. Homecoming with Daniel Jones leading the Giants. And that's who I'm stacking Daniel Jones with. So let's look back at this wide receiver core for this week. And it's a decent one. You have a lot of wide receivers. Okay, and as we take a look at the wide receivers, you can see that we have D Hop and Julio and Keenan Allen at the top. And out of these three studs, I'm feeling like D Hop has a good matchup because Carolina is not the best in the backfield. But Keenan Allen, who's also the vocal point in Miami with the poorest D, I'm locking him back in. He should see a lot of targets, and if he produces, he will give you a lot of points. Mike Evans is in a tough matchup this week, I'm feeling, and I'm not point chasing this week. So, and it's not necessarily about Mike Evans. I think it's more about Jameis Winston, where he will be pressured too much, where he can't sit back and lob it and throw it deep to Mike Evans so he could get all those DF fantasy points. So I'm fading this week. And as we move on down, we have a couple wide receivers in decent spots, nothing that's sticking out too much. You know, the LA receivers, Cooper Kupp is in a great position. That's the guy that Jared Goff goes to. And if it's anybody out of those three receivers, Woods, Cooks, and Kupp, I'm going with Kupp. As we see down here, we have Sammy Watkins and Robinson, which you will have to take your pick this week. As we know that anybody on the Kansas City Chiefs team can go off on DFS and give you a nice DFS fantasy point production, but you just have to know which one. So it could be Sammy Robinson or Hardman. So you will have to make your choice and figure that out yourself. And Tyler Lockett's in a great spot with Kennedy Holiday. So pairing this third receiver will be pretty tough. And I'm gonna jump down to tight end, and I'm stacking the game with Evan Ingram. Yes, Evan Ingram has been given the green light. And with Daniel Jones throwing back there, he should be seeing pretty much good targets and be efficient in the targets. So I'm feeling like he's going to get a lot of receptions plus touchdowns. And what I would like to do is come back with all these Giants I have. I'm coming back with a Washington player. And a Washington player that I'm going to give you, and Terry McLaurin, who's going to be my receiver that I'm running back against the Giants, hoping that it turns into a decent scoring game, and McLaurin will be running it back, giving a lot of DFS points. And as you can see, he has been productive since gotten in the league. He's a rookie, and he's been very productive. And the Giants' defense in the backfield is weak, and he's a big target. So I'm expecting something to come back. The other team to make it into a shootout, and I'm expecting Terry McLaurin to be the guy to run it back against the Giants to give me nice DFS fantasy. And this is my stack this week. I'm looking more to Daniel Jones and the Giants showing up against Washington, and stacking the core of the Giants around great players that should be able to go off in the DFS community. And thank you. This is my first NFL Week 4 DFS GPP look. Thank you for coming back and tuning in to your main man Cloud. DFS lifestyle is not a game, it's a lifestyle. Please like and subscribe, and put down in the comments who are your core players this week, and do you feel that the Giants in the Washington game will shoot out? How are you feeling about that? Or are you looking at another game? So go ahead and put your comments down, like and subscribe. Thank you.